about me, I'm cool. All I need is me and my crew. Feeling like I'm brand new.
It was like any ordinary day. I walked into class, sat in the back, ready to write down whatever the professor would put on the board, and just before I could reach for my pen, he stated, today's topic, crisis theory, otherwise known as broken heart. I laughed because I felt like I've been studying for this subject long enough to have already earned my PhD with no student loans, so as I turned his voice out, I wrote at the top of my page, Crisis Theory, 2012. First, it was denial that struck me like a silent virus, mixing my thoughts and emotions together, creating this idea that things will just blow over soon. Blindsided, but my love for her. Sat in the seat of my attachment, stopped at a red light. But just because the car is on doesn't mean that it's moving, so of course, every time I turned to a scripture, it was somehow a confirmation of us having to be together. I thought that if we read enough, then prayed enough, then God, who is in control of everything, would fix us, would fix this, would fix me. Funny thing about denial, even when the word spells won't, we still claim that it says will. It's not that we refuse to accept won't, but that we can no longer identify with the reality of pain that it bears. Even my vision of your spiritual walk became misleading. Like somehow you became perfect. Well, perfect for me. So when I was falling, it was okay because I was falling for you. I tried to logically break down why we were meant to be together as if it had anything to do with logic. With this winter's tale that will spring shot us past summer until we fall again. Like a farmer miscounting his crops because you reap what you sow, which is why you can count the number of seeds in an orange, but not the number of oranges that come from a seed. I would instill catchphrases within your heart like if we reach for the stars, then we'll land on the moon. Knowing that this could never be because our universe of love refused to revolve around the sun, the separation we face had me stuck in a mental prison where my cell walls are painted with every I love you. The cushion of my bed made from every soft moment that we shared together, but not thick enough to block out the metal springs of disappointment that it rested on. Because the hardest thing I ever had to do was to convince myself that I'm not in love with you. If my life was the beach, then I thought of you as my sandcastle. Because no matter how much time I spend with you, I can never truly hold you. Because no matter how hard you grip the sand, it still manages to fall between your fingers. No matter how hard you grip the sand, it still manages to fall between your fingers. It starts with the phrase, we need to talk, which has the power to make you think about every bad thing you've done in your whole entire life. I just wish that this pain will go away and that you would stay and somehow we would remain. And as time went on, you didn't. And I grew angry. And I once heard where there's smoke, there's fire, and if that's true, I can't see anymore. Reality kicking out in this pain, I can't breathe anymore. Because no amount of cast dice can clue me in on this taboo of a board game. It felt like Battleship when we spoke. My cranium couldn't connect for anything other than your chest like checkers. I would jump over anyone in order to be kinged. You were my Uno. That's the risk I took, knowing it was trouble. So guess who would be able to take this from me? He knew I would be sorry for all my misdeeds because I finally understood that this was not Monopoly I was playing, this is life. And this is life, and there's no second chance of a Yahtzee like giving apples to apples. I would hang on to this anger and resentment forever. And we couldn't even sit at the same table because I would see the cup as half empty and you would see it as half full, but I wondered, if it was filled with poison, and we both drank it, would we end up in the same place? So maybe I'd bargain with her, knowing all I have left in my hands are helplessness and vulnerability, which is why I called you every night. I lost track of the many times where I just waited for you to call, but the funny thing is, I didn't. I actually counted. I counted every late night written text message, every voicemail never checked, every message too afraid to be sent because I was afraid of your response. God, I've tried for so long to bear this burden of a broken heart alone. You said love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, all of which I've applied to my relationship with her. So tell me, is it me? Have I done so much that things cannot be? God, I feel numb. Like the day downtown where she told me about the other guy. Time stopped, yet somehow her lips kept moving. And it was as if my ears were out of service and I could see the men by the exit laughing at me. As if these tears were unjustified. You know, back then I'd walk home and let the rain cover my tears, and I'd imagine that God was crying along with me. Until this very day, I won't admit that I went through a depression, but my Facebook and Twitter tell you otherwise. I was low. I mean low. I was so low I could look up and see down right above me. I said I was low. So low I could look up and see down right above me. And it was back then that I knew I'd have to accept it. Accept that we used to date but we're not really dating anymore kind of relationship. And now I'm sitting in class with my notebook filled with all this madness and I have no choice but to turn the page. It dawns on me, Lord, the day they took you away and how Peter was so angry and so brokenhearted that they were arresting you that he drew his sword, swinging it, hitting anyone in sight, defending you like a prized jewel, and that's not what you wanted of him. You saw your will for him and all of humanity as far better than the needs of Peter, than Peter's emotional needs of the moment, although you knew how much your disciples would be brokenhearted. What you had planned was far better. So I, a broken Peter, have put down my sword. And just like the servant Peter struck, you healed her. So that now she sees you for you really are, God, us. Every time you said us, I thought it was between me and her, but in reality it was between me and you, God, us. You said, love bears all things, and I've bared it all. Love believes all things, and I believe this is for the best. Love hopes all things, and I know this hope never fails. Love endures all things, and I've endured through it all. But this endurance must do its full work so that I may be lacking nothing. And just like Peter, I ran to the tomb of our resurrected lives to see that he saved me from having a crisis theory. 2013.
Come away with me, I got a place for you. It's on the other side. Let me walk upon the waters wherever you would call.